Winterthur is home to a high-rise with a difference. It's called Farsighted. And its renovation has also been farsighted. It's the key task of 21st century architects to take into consideration the basic structure of existing buildings. And architect duo Burkhalter and Sumi have done this admirably.
The project entailed modernizing a block of flats from the 1960s, while at the same time creating new residential space by adding extra volume. We did this by combining the two objectives and attaching the new volume to the back of the existing tower. The size of the dwellings was adapted at the same time. The small one-bedroom flats were merged to create three-bedroom flats, and the new extension then used to house the studios and smaller units.
In a single stroke, we were able to save the park with its beautiful trees, while at the same time making the building earthquake-proof and enlarging the residential units. By building onto it, we were able to ensure a good social mix, which is something we feel is very important, especially in a high-rise such as the one in Winterthur.
What I like is being surrounded by green. I didn't want to have another high-rise on my doorstep. I wanted to see greenery when I looked out the window.
The place has a charm of its own. I like to sit outside in the evening and hear the wind whistling and see the leaves moving. There's something almost meditative about it.
What I like here is obviously the view. All the green of Winterthur, the lovely woods and trees. It's a great place to relax.
There's a good social mix within the building, which we find very interesting. There are singles, families, and people sharing flats all living in the same high-rise.
Urs Widmer can still remember the original high-rise building in Winterthur. He knows the town like the back of his hand, having been mayor of Winterthur from 1966 to 1990. He's now a keen amateur photographer and town chronicler.
This building made a lasting impression on me because it symbolizes the town of Winterthur and its aspirations to become an industrial base. It's also a symbol of changing times, set in motion by the arrival of the Sulzer company. In those days, most of the people who came to live here were Italian guest workers recruited by Sulzer, which back then was looking for workers willing to do the jobs that the Swiss no longer wanted. The people of Winterthur, I mean ordinary working class people, were afraid of high-rises like these, because they thought they led to anonymity and could even become a breeding ground for crime. But it seems to me those fears have proved unfounded.
The Winterthur project is an example of what we call inward concentration. That means making use of existing structures and buildings, building on what is already there. It's a way of creating something new out of something old. This approach is also called dealing with the existing.
Die Auseinandersetzung mit dem Bestehen oder dealing with the existing.
Dealing with the existing also gives you the chance to immerse yourself in stories about places, about social history, who lived where and when. and then to ask yourself how to start a new chapter. That's what makes it exciting, which is why we find converting or enlarging or adding to what is already there just as interesting as building from scratch.
What fascinated us first and foremost was the charm of the place. It was so ordinary, maybe a bit parochial even. We thought that was very good and felt it was something worth preserving. We didn't want some hyper-designed world such as you might find in a big city. Dealing with the existing means preserving a social structure, preserving a place and taking that place seriously.
It's the ordinariness that makes it what it is. The normality of the place. That's the whole beauty of it. We're like one big family that's been living here for ages. You run into people, have a chat, and then go on your way. That's what gives you the sense of belonging, of being at home here. Everyone knows everybody else.
Ciao, come stai? Bene, bene. Tu? Tutto a posto? Io per mangiare la torta. Torta is fine. Va bene qua torta.
I've been living here in this high-rise for 25 years, although I used to live in the old part of the building. There's something special about it. It's, well, people used to call us the high-risers, which was fair enough. We're a bit of a special breed, a bit eccentric. Well, that's what I think anyway. So have you been a good boy today? Well, I don't know, you haven't eaten anything. Then I'd better have a look and see what there is.
When I was a kid, I never wanted to be like my parents. But the older I get, the more I realise that I'm becoming more and more like them. I suppose it's a process we all have to go through. You have a different perspective on life and become easily annoyed by the very things you yourself used to do. But that doesn't make me think of myself as uncool. I think I'm becoming more and more conservative, but I am Swiss after all.
Das Wohnen geht jetzt kinderleicht, ganz kinderleicht mit Wasser. Ein Dauerglanz wird so erreicht, wird stets erreicht mit Wasser. Ob Strangular.
In those days, of course, the standard floor plan centered on a narrow hall with 4 or 5 doors opening off it into the living room, kitchen and bedrooms. There was no such thing as an open-plan kitchen then. I suspect that the older generation of architecture professors championed this particular layout because they thought all members of the family needed to have their own privacy. These days, however, we live in a much more open society and live together more openly as well.
Men cook too these days, and I believe that one of the main reasons for this change is the status of women and the emancipation of women. Lots of women work, and in fact have to work. Having 2 incomes is a must in today's society. And if you work the whole day, you have to have a good kitchen that's organised as efficiently as possible. The kitchen is once again the nerve centre of every house, and it's not hidden away somewhere. Floor plans are much more open than they used to be.
Man hat eine größere Öffnung auch der Grundrisse.
When I look out over the town today, I can't help but be reminded of days gone by. These memories of my youth naturally revolve around the Haldengut brewery, Volk and Sulzer, the three businesses that made the town what it is today. Back then, of course, Winterthur was nowhere near as built up as it is now. But we still have a very attractive town with quite a lot of green spaces. And when you look at the town in its larger context, you realize that the high-rise is very well integrated in Winterthur's green spaces, and that it was the right decision to build onto what was there instead of building completely new.
What interested us was the chance to try out something new, knowing that there are lots of high-rises like this around. Lots of them are from the 60s and 70s and will soon be up for renewal, in Zurich too. So this project was a kind of model project that showed what could be done.
We're very happy with the building and the way it fits in. It's striking and yet unobtrusive. We've created something new and at the same time acknowledged what the place is all about. We're very proud of this combination.
What I like is the way it's become more cheerful as well. Perhaps because we've got rid of the staleness it had before. There are now more communicative spaces. An attic apartment with fantastic views, which is great for parties. All of that put together, to my mind, makes for a new whole. It's all about living together.